Pleasure now to be joined by Erik Peterson of Bandon Dunes Golf Resort. More on Bandon in just a moment. Day after the Masters, Bubba puts on the green jacket for the second time in 3 years. Erik, as you look back on this weekend's Augusta action, your thoughts?
It was a fun tournament. It's always fun to watch the Masters. I mean, just as a passionate golf fan myself, it's always good. It doesn't matter who ends up winning. But there was that missing link, I thought. The tournament just had a different kind of aura to it, just watching it on TV, the fact that Tiger wasn't playing in it. And so I'd be lying if I told you I wasn't thinking, gosh, I wonder what would be going on if Tiger was in the tournament right now.
Yeah, because I'm curious to know. I mean, obviously on ESPN Radio, ESPN, you're covering all sorts of sports, and where does golf fit in? And you're in the heart of the golf industry. So I wanted to get the thoughts, because a lot of people today, looking back, they're saying, boy, no, Tiger just didn't have the same zest as he usually does.
Yeah, I mean, that's the amazing thing about what Tiger has done for golf, is that he brings casual fans in and gets them engaged in watching it. And there's not a lot of people, if anyone, that really do that like he does. I guess you could argue that maybe Phil Mickelson is kind of in that conversation, but Tiger is on a whole nother level. And so it's kind of like golf is a victim of its own success when Tiger doesn't play in it, because he's set this ridiculously high standard for golf, and then all of a sudden, if he's not in it for whatever reason, it takes a hit. And so I think that those casual fans that have kind of been convinced by Tiger, when they turn it on and they don't see him, they're kind of scratching their head thinking, well, gosh, where is he? This isn't quite as exciting.
Yeah, for me it was really Thursday, Friday. I mean, I remember so many years when it's a major and Tiger's involved. You know what time he's teeing off. Can I swing my lunch break so I can get some Tiger time in? Or you constantly know, what's he doing on this hole? What's he doing on this hole? And I found myself, well, okay, I'll watch. I'll record it and watch it when I get home today. And in the end, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just watch tomorrow. And I didn't really see much of the Thursday, Friday. Of course, I watched the weekend action. I'm a golf fan, but I agree. The Masters is supposed to start on the back nine on Sunday, and it was over by 10 on Sunday.
Yeah, it was, and it was pretty amazing. I was really curious to see how Jordan Spieth was going to perform on Sunday, and he hung right there, but then he bogeyed 8 and 9. Bubba birdied him, so it just turned the tables completely. And so he made a great putt, a great save on 12 after hitting it in the water to kind of stay in there. But I mean, when they were on 13T, Bubba hit that ridiculous tee shot up there, and I think he had like 9-iron or wedge into 13. And so I think that is kind of the moment where you're like, all right, I can kind of see this unfolding, and it looks like Bubba's going to win, which you don't see that often. Usually at the Masters, it comes down to the last hole. I mean, if you look at Adam Scott last year won in a playoff, Bubba the year before won in a playoff. So the last couple of years have been this drama going down right till the final end and beyond, really. But we didn't have that this year, so it's a little bit of a bummer.
I noticed we don't have that talk. It seemed like when Tiger was winning a lot, there was a lot of people wanted to Tiger-proof stuff, this and that. I mean, Bubba is as long as they get on the golf course, something people aren't talking about today. But is there going to be any more conversation, you think, in the world of golf of these guys who can just overpower the courses?
That's a great question, and I don't know if you look at the winning score. I mean, Bubba was 8 under, so that's actually the highest winning score in I think since 2008 when Immelman won. And so I don't really think that Augusta was beat up by the players, and they haven't made any significant changes to the course in, I think, about 7 or 8 years, or maybe even 10 years now. And so I think that it's kind of caught up, and the golf course kind of holds its own the way it needs to, and I don't really see them making any changes in the near future.
Jordan Spieth, I do agree, watching him a little bit, and he's been on the radar screen. I remember him at the U.S. Open a couple years ago when he kind of stole the thunder of his fellow Longhorn, Beau Hosler, and ended up taking low-am in that tournament.
Yeah.
Guy goes pro. He chips in to get his first win last year, and it looks like, he didn't break through, but he would have been the youngest Masters champion ever, the youngest in 83 years, so I don't think it's a shock that he wasn't able to get over the hump. But this guy looks like, he may be the next in a long line of the next great thing in golf.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I was actually laughing with some friends when I was watching the Masters this weekend. We were laughing about what we were doing and what we acted like when we were 20. I mean, gosh, he's a kid, and he's playing at the absolute highest level of his sport, and he was winning the tournament on Sunday, the biggest event in golf. And then, so he's obviously gifted as an athlete, but then to hear him in his post-round interview, just how mature he is, he spoke intelligently. He spoke like he's much older than he is, and if he's the future of golf and a guy that is going to really be around for decades, I think the game is in good hands. Will he be the next Tiger? I don't think so, but gosh, he is amazingly talented, and it's been fun to watch thus far. I can't even imagine what's going to go on in the next few years.
Yeah, I think at 20, if I was golfing, which I really wasn't, except for maybe once or twice a year, it was really how many beers could I stuff in my bag and still get around 18.
That's right.
Erik Peterson from Band of Dudes joining us here, ESPN Radio 1340 AM. Talk about it. I think for me, I'm left with a question, and some guys were talking about it this morning. Guys like you and I, we love golf, and, it's about the game, and we're going to watch you over. But, really that fringe factor has been that Tiger factor. What if, when Tiger walks away, there just is not another Tiger Woods? You're in the golf industry. I mean, what is golf's future? I mean, I know it has a future, but where can golf go outside of Tiger Woods to keep the game relevant and, right up there with the biggest sports in America?
Well, he set a whole new standard that golf had never seen. And he's not only one of, if not the most talented golfer in the history of the game, but he came on the scene at a time when television agreements got bigger, the economy, like in the early 2000s and late 90s, was really picking up. Golf was growing at a really rapid rate. It was just kind of this perfect storm, and all of a sudden this guy, Tiger Woods, drops on the scene and just brought us entertainment and talent that we'd never seen. You can hear Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer. They would talk, just looking at him swing the club when he was still at Stanford playing college golf, that he was on another level. And so he set that bar and took golf into a place that it's never been. And so if he steps away from that, for us to just expect the bar to just keep going up, for who? I think there has to be someone that comes and steps into that role. But my gosh, I can't even imagine someone more dominant, more talented, more of a just a figure than Tiger Woods. So I'd love to see it, but at this point, it's like I can't even imagine what that would be like.
I know. When I'm thinking yesterday and some of the recent stuff, all I could think of is, my goodness, unfortunately, I think we've seen Tiger's best, and I still think he's going to get back in the win column, and he will win majors, and he will challenge Jack. But those days at Pebble or Augusta when he was just lapping the field and just pulverizing people, those days probably gone as he fights the injury bug as well. Where do we put Bubba now? Bubba, if you look at he's been a lot of flash, not as much, a lot of pizzazz, but now he's got the trophies. He's not doing a ton of winning, but as we know in today's day and age, if you're going to win the biggest tournament 2 and 3 years, you're going to be vaulted up that ladder pretty quickly.
Yeah, and so he's the only lefty besides Phil Mickelson to win at least 2 majors. So
that's pretty good company.
Left-handed, right-handed, if that's really a big difference or whatever. But I mean, you're being compared to Phil Mickelson, who's one of the greats certainly of this generation. So when you get that second major, you go from, all right, maybe that was just a flash in the pan, to, all right, this guy's seriously legit. Especially if you win the Masters, which it's the smallest field of the majors. It's got the most history. You could argue that it's the toughest tournament to win just because of all that history and pressure. And so the fact that Bubba's now got 2, you gotta give him props for that. And who knows if he'll get another one or if this will lead to other major championships, but you certainly have to put him in that conversation of one of the better players of the last decade.
No doubt about it. I mean, he could never win again, and he's got quite a legacy. And I was thinking about a guy like Ben Crenshaw, who's got a couple, and of course he has a huge influence out at Bandon Dunes. And I'm excited because we had the Final Four last week when we wrapped up the show, the championship, Masters weekend, and for me, the best extended weekend of the year. The fellas and I from Texas, the California crew, we've got Bandon this weekend. Now, I know Bandon doesn't have a lot of doesn't get any pro events, and it's not because of the golf course, obviously. It's second to none in the U.S. Just simple fact of Bandon is where it is, and it's not like you're going to pack 80,000 people into hotel rooms over the course of a week. But so I don't know how many of the pros get up there, but have you had a chance to see Bubba, or can you imagine what Bubba would do out there at Bandon?
Yeah, I haven't seen him here, but JB, that's a great question. It'd be fun to watch. Gosh, some of the tee shots that I've seen guys hit, like in a collegiate event or one of the USGA events that we've had here, and to see those people hit it in places that I didn't know were possible to hit it to, and they're obviously some of the best amateur golfers in the country, and just to think of like Bubba on another level above that, where he'd hit the ball in some of these holes, it'd be really fun to watch.
Yeah, I hit the ball in some unique places, but it's not what I had in mind. That is for sure. People always ask me, JB, what's so great about Bandon? Why do you like to go? And people who don't golf that much, maybe they think, oh, because it's hard. Well, anyone can make a hard golf course, and I tell you, it's not a hard golf course. And granted, it is on a great piece of real estate right there next to the Pacific Ocean, but it is the courses themselves that make this place special, in my opinion. Erik, would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. And the setting, it's just unique. I think that I grew up in Oregon, and even in California, there's kind of this notion of American golf, and it's just a lot different than links golf. And that's where golf started, is links golf in Scotland and Ireland, and that's what Bandon Dunes is. You might as well have these golf courses over there in Scotland or Ireland, and instead they're right here on the south coast of Oregon. So it's a unique experience in the U.S. I mean, it's really the home of links golf in America, and the fact that we get to have it here on the southern Oregon coast is pretty amazing. And it's just one of those experiences that it's unlike any other golf trip that you'll take. That's for sure. So.
Yeah, that is for sure. It's without a highlight, and I don't know if I'm happy with an iPhone or not, because now that we've got group texting, I realized, my friends who were in their mid-30s to early 40s have suddenly turned into 12-year-old little girls meeting a celebrity or Christmas Day with the stuff and the excitement that goes around. Now we're fortunate. We've been doing this, I think, our 4th year this trip, Erik. What is some of the stuff? I know Punch Bowl's new. I'm really looking forward to that. But the people who make the return visits, what do they talk about when they come back and really look forward to a seasoned vet and finding new experiences when they come into the resort?
It's really every experience, every trip here is different, and sometimes even if it's the same group that comes year in and year out, and we have, I would say predominantly, most of our business is people who come back again. I always laugh when people say that Bandon Dunes is a bucket list place. Well, I think of a bucket list as like skydiving, where you do it once because it's wild and crazy, and then you never want to do it again in your life. But Bandon is wild, but it's not crazy, and it's not a place that you just want to do or just want to visit once. It's an experience that you will want to come again with your buddies or your brother or your dad or just all sorts of groups we see come. And I think that what they really grab onto is just that it's fun every time. And every time you play the course, it's different than the last time you played it, because maybe the wind's blowing a different direction or you hit different shots. And so it never gets boring. I've been lucky enough to play all the courses quite a few times, and I never feel like, oh, yeah, well, we're going out to play that course again. It never gets old. And I think that's really why people keep coming back, is because every time it's like a new adventure.
Well, I agree. The first few times I went, Pacific was definitely my favorite course, and then I thought maybe it was Dunes, and right now, for me, without a doubt, Bandon Trails is my favorite course. But it's, to say one's better than the other, they're all just unique and different. It's, there's blondes, there's brunettes, there's redheads, there's great qualities about all of them, and you wouldn't ignore one for the other. Where, some resorts, they've got, they're known for a certain course, then they've got some other ones there as well. I mean, you could all sit down and you could go into the bunker bar at night, and everyone can have a heated discussion on what the best course is. And you talk about bucket lists, I totally agree. The girlfriend and I, we were talking, and I let her know right at the beginning of the relationship, this weekend every year is non-negotiable, so don't plan anything where you're going to expect me to do something else. One of the guys is recently engaged. At one point, his soon-to-be wife had chosen this weekend as a possible wedding weekend. Needless to say, he took care of that real quick, because that would have put a damper in a lot of things.
That's great.
But
it's one of those places that people move things around to make sure that they're available to join that trip. And there's not a lot of experiences in sports that are like that. And that's why I think golf is so great, because there's such that deep level of camaraderie and enjoyment with a group that you can experience other sports maybe that don't kind of quite bring people together like golf does. So that's really neat. And I think that's a great point that you make, JB, about which courses are the best. That's one of probably the most common questions I get from golf media or guests that I happen to talk to is, Erik, which course is the best at Bandon Dunes? And if you ask that question, kind of like what you're alluding to, if you're in the bunker bar having a drink, and you could go around the table and you'd get different answers from every single person if they were to rank their favorite courses. And I don't think another golf resort can say that. I mean, I think if you ask someone what's the best course at Pebble Beach Golf Resorts, I think every person is going to say Pebble Beach. Is anyone really going to say Spanish Bay? I don't know. I don't know anybody who would say that. I don't know if you do. And Pinehurst is the same way. Who's going to say any course besides number 2 at Pinehurst is the best. And so I think that, kind of like what you're saying, other resorts have that one definitive best course, whereas Bandon Dunes has 4 that are all really, really good. And obviously I'm biased because I work here, but that honestly is the way I felt before I started working here, and it's what people say around property. So it's pretty interesting.
You know, I agree, and they're also different. Is what I love. To me, I think just that 8, 9, 10, 11, that little streak in trails is just spectacular. You get in there, you're lost amongst the woods. It's a special place to say the least. So I'm looking forward to advancing this conversation and take another dip in the water as I will this weekend with the fellas. Erik, so people can make their own annual trip and get that thing started, or haven't got up there yet, need to make that first pilgrimage to Bandon Dunes, best way to get a hold of you guys at the resort?
Yeah, if you just visit our website, bandondunesgolf.com, is a good way to kind of get an initial start, and you can get info about rates and lodging types and all that stuff, just to kind of get a general understanding of when you want to come and what type of lodging. And then from there, if you just call our reservations team, they can follow through and answer any other questions, and then obviously get their booking taken care of. Another great place that there's a lot of social media stuff is on our Facebook page. So if you just check us out on Facebook, great place to just see photos that could have been taken last week or yesterday. A lot of our fans will go onto our Facebook page and tag themselves in a photo. And so it becomes a great way to sort of picture yourself going through the Bandon Dunes experiences through social media. So either one of those options is a good way to get a feel for what we're about. And then from there, it's just a matter of making that decision and getting up here and checking it out.
Erik, can't wait. Thank you. Tag Wotherspoon will join us next. He comes back into the conversation live, 6 Rivers Brewery in McKinleyville, ESPN Radio, 1340 AM.